Amp in the time machine, come take a ride through the 1930s with style and stride. Books, films, and fashion, the songs that remain. We regret nothing, the past calls our name.
Welcome back to We Regret Nothing. Today, we're finishing our discussion of the radio shows of the 1930s. In the last episode, Michelle, Andrea, and I introduced the first 10 programs from our list of the top 20 radio shows of the decade. Shows that informed, entertained, and connected audiences at a time when radio was the center of American life. Today, we're bringing you the next 10 radio shows, completing the full list of 20. Once everything is on the table, the real work begins. By the end of this episode, hopefully, we'll narrow the list down to a definitive top 10 radio shows of the 1930s. This is where nostalgia meets tough decisions. It's going to be comedy versus drama, news versus escapism, cultural impact versus staying power. Every choice we make means leaving one behind. So, settle back, tune in, and join us as we debate, defend, and decide which radio shows rise to the top 10 and possibly move one step closer to the space capsule. Welcome, Michelle.
Hello.
Hello, Andrea.
John.
Okay, let's jump right into the list. Number 11, the Major Bowes Amateur Hour. The Major Bowes Amateur Hour was an American radio talent show broadcast that started in 1934. This was created and hosted by Edward Bowes. Selected performers from the program actually participated in a touring vaudeville performance under the Major Bow name. This show later transitioned to television in the late 40s with a different host, but we'll get to that down the road. So first, Michelle.
I liked that this is a little like America's Got Talent-esque from the jump, because he would chit-chat with the contestants, and then they'd like spin a wheel to see who was going to be up and what they were going to do. And then, it's all the most talented ones they'd recruit and take them on tours.
Yeah,
So-
jamborees.
Yeah, or like when like American Idol used to probably still do.
Yeah.
But, like used to
Do
tour,
they?
right?
Yeah.
Like with,
Yeah.
like
So did
winners
so
and
you
that.
think you can dance would do
Yeah,
that like the
yeah. So it seemed like it was probably a nice way for people to try to break into an industry where there was not a lot of just like random, right? You couldn't just, there's no fucking YouTube to make you
Yeah.
a star. Then
Andrea?
as we're on YouTube. That's I had down how very granddad of American Idol-esque shows. Frank Sinatra and Maria Callas got their start on this, which I thought like Sinatra was with the Hoboken Four, and I think Callas actually was under her born name, which is like something for steady or something. I mean, but like Nina or Nick, it's not Maria Callas. I just thought it seemed like a cool thing. Like Michelle said too, then the best of the best go out on tour so everybody can see them. Like, they'd be at fairs and things like that, and they did call it a jamboree. So yeah, I thought it was very cool in that respect.
Okay, so in 1934, amid widespread unemployment during the Great Depression, Edward Bowes launched the original amateur hour on New York radio station WHN. To Michelle's point, I think both of your points, the reason that part's important is this was seen during the Depression as a chance. This is your shot at something a little bit bigger. The show consistently ranked among radio's top 10 programs throughout its run. Bowes' familiar catchphrase, "Round and round she goes, and where she stops, nobody knows," was spoken in the familiar tone for which he was renowned whenever it was time to spin the Wheel of Fortune, the device by which some contestants were called to perform. In the early days of the show, whenever a performer was simply too terrible to continue, Bowes would stop the act by striking a gong.
Oh, I didn't get that far in like my
Bowes?
thing. Okay, gong show.
Bowes heard from thousands of listeners who objected to his terminating these acts prematurely, so he abandoned the gong in 1936, which will not be revived until the 70s by Chuck Barris's The Gong Show. But Andrea brought up, let's just talk about this one. I just wanted to talk about this one thing. In September 8th, 1935, broadcast from the Capitol Theater in New York City, Major Bose introduced a quartet named the Hoboken Four. The group was made up of James Petrozelli, Patrick Principe, Fred Tamburo, and a 20-year-old Frank Sinatra. The group sang Shine by the Mills Brothers, and Sinatra performed solo, covering Night and Day by Cole Porter. The group won the contest hands down. It is claimed that over 40,000 calls were received, the biggest response in the program's history. The Hoboken Four returned to compete several times on the Major Bose Amateur Hour, calling themselves by different names each time. They were the Secaucus Cockamammies, the Beone Bacalis, the Jive Four, the Jolly Jersey Gypsies, and they won every contest. During a live performance in the Sands in 1966, Sinatra claimed on stage that Major Bose had to change the name of their group to fool other contenders and the audience from realizing it was the same winning group competing against a fresh pack of amateurs.
Oh,
Why would you let them keep coming on? I mean, I get why you would let them keep
vote
coming
early,
on.
vote often.
Yeah, geez.
Sinatra often joked in public about the dozens of names his group was given and how Major Bose kept rigging the show for them to win.
Why?
So, moving on, the grind of constant traveling and lodging in substandard accommodations generated tension among the quartet members. At one stop, Sinatra, it's argued either way, but he either started giggling on stage or cracked a joke about Tamburo on stage. And then as soon as the show ended, Tamburo decked him. Sinatra's
very
talent
crazy.
and self-confidence were evident to everyone in the touring company, as well as his ability to attract female fans. So Tamburo and Petrozelli began taking out their frustrations by beating up Sinatra frequently. So before the end of 1935, Sinatra had had enough. He quit the tour and returned home to Hoboken. The group continued the tour as the Hoboken Trio, but the three of them, soon realizing they lacked Frank Sinatra, called it quits. Petrozelli and Principe found jobs in Keansburg, New Jersey, while Tamburo went back to being a truck driver.
Yeah.
Major Bose is referenced in two Twilight Zone episodes. 1961's episode Static, where his show is heard on a mysterious radio that tunes into channels that no longer exist. You can hear his famous catchphrase, "Round and round she goes, where she stops, nobody knows." And then there's also an episode which I couldn't figure out where he was in it, but Young Man's Fancy. But so he's mentioned in two Twilight Zone episodes. He's not in them, but he's also referred to in a line from Cab Calloway's I Love to Singa, which Andrea loves. And I don't even know if you know the lyrics that Major Bose is in those lyrics. Also mentioned in the Dorothy Fields lyrics from Never Gonna Dance, from the Astairs Rogers film Swing Time. Always like to try to bring up stuff we've talked about. And he's also referenced in the song I'm Still Here from Sondheim's 71 musical Folly. So seemed to have culturally got mentioned a lot. The Sinatra thing, which I just thought was fascinating. They were so mad that he was picking up chicks and better than them. They just beat him up on tour. But
did any of them mysteriously disappear?
They did not.
Like the
They did
late
not.
40s, early 50s.
Michelle, were you going to say something?
Yeah, that Bose was also, so you mentioned the Capitol Theater. He managed the Capitol Theater, and then he was also the vice president of Goldwyn Pictures Corporation at one point.
I did not see that.
So I thought that's pretty impressive.
I'm not a fan, and I know for our huge military audience out there, this will be, but I'm not a fan of anybody, but I've never known a woman to do it. I'm not a fan of a person that insists on their rank.
Yeah.
Especially his, because his was under, they were like, were you like...
Just so the audience knows this is real, that we don't talk about this beforehand, I have all of his background saved just in case he makes it into the top 10, but we could just do it now, and I'll find other stuff to talk about.
No, save it.
Save it.
No,
Save it.
because
Save it.
Okay.
Save it, buddy.
If he doesn't make it in the top 10, though,
one.
this is lost to history. I don't get to talk about Edward J. Bose. But okay, I'll take the risk. No pressure. Number 12, Ripley's Believe It or Not. Ripley's Believe It or Not debuted on NBC Radio on April 14th, 1930, bringing bizarre true stories from Robert Ripley's worldwide travels to home audiences. So, show was sponsored by Colonial Beacon Oil Company, this show aired for 18 years, featured dramatized tales, musical interludes, and in 1932, a very famous contest that drew not over a million, millions of entries. That is Andrea.
I just want to say justice for Norbert Pearl Rock. This is some bull fucking shit.
For real.
Because do you know, I don't know if our listeners do, but
This poor bastard.
poor Norbert was the one that found out these all believe it or not things by going to the library. Man worked 7 days a week. He skipped lunch. He got paid dick.
Oh, is he? Oh, never mind.
He didn't get paid in dick.
Oh.
He
Sorry.
He made $25 a week, which in 2025 is like $470 a week. I'm like, this guy, he was a polyglot, 14 languages, read and write, like genius that came over from Poland. Was it Poland? He came
That I actually don't have where he's from.
I think he came over from Poland. But I'm just shocked, number one. And they cracked a joke about it once, like, oh, you thought this came from all over the world, but it was just the corner. It was the New York Library. He would just go
52 fucking years he spent.
50, and then they forced him into retirement.
Sorry, but he is Polish born.
Polish, okay, that's what
Born in southern Poland?
Jewish man. Excuse me. Like, I want, next time we go by Ripley's Believe It or Not, which we rarely do. We're not on Sunset a lot. Also, always avoiding taking the kids in there because I'm like, we don't know. I think this is a really cool concept. Let me jump that. I think that is cool to be like, and of course I just keep hearing Jack Palance because it was a Sunday night show when we were kids on TV. But there was like these things that you're like, no frickin' way. That can't be real. That can't, like, it's fascinating. And I think it's a way to kind of teach people things, but also maybe there were kids like I used to do this before the internet, is if I heard an interesting fact like that or something that's so cool, I would go to the library. Look, I swear to God, anybody interject with nerd. I know you won't, but that guy will. But are you seriously just, yep. I think it's a very cool concept and a great way to get people to learn. And justice for Norm. Can we have those t-shirts made? Can we get merch that say justice for Norbert Pearl Rock? And it's a great name. He's Norbert Pearl Rock.
Michelle?
I feel the same way. Like it was, and it was a lot, there were a lot of firsts on this show, right? Like, this was later after the 30s, but it was like a nationwide broadcast from the middle of the ocean. Yeah. Right. The first he broadcast from Buenos Aires to New York City. And then that show was the first show to be broadcast in every nation of the world due to a bunch of translators and whatever helping out. But
Norbert.
I also have just like poor fucking Norbert. Like, I mean, I guess, dedication.
He obviously, I'm hoping he loved what he did.
I hope
he seemed
so.
like there's only one time that he ever had to say, I was wrong. When he said that the man whose last name was Seaborn was born on the sea. And actually he was born on a ship that was anchored to the dock. So.
Or you know what? He gets a mulligan. Like, what the fuck?
I mean,
poor Norbert gets a mulligan.
Norbert. But yes, Sean, very cool concept.
Yeah.
Be wrong once. Okay, so Leroy Robert Ripley, born on February 22nd, maybe 1890 in Santa Rosa, California. His exact birth date is disputed, and it was never settled. Dropped out of high school after his father's death to help his family. At age 16, he began working as a sports cartoonist for various newspapers. 1913, he moved to New York City. Started drawing cartoons for the New York Globe newspaper. he created his first Believe It or Not cartoon published on December 19th, 1918. With a very positive response from readers, cartoon began appearing weekly. On October 31st, 1919, Ripley, aged 29, married 14-year-old film actress Beatrice Roberts. Their marriage was a union that only lasted 3 months, but it wasn't actually dissolved officially until 1926.
Ew. Did you say 29 married a 14?
He was 29. He married a 14-year-old. I looked Beatrice Roberts up. She was in a lot of movies, but never starred in one. But she was still in a lot of movies by the time she was 14. But yeah, they got married when she was 14.
Jesus fucking.
Threw that in there for Andrea. He made his first trip around the world in 1922, publishing his travel journals in the newspapers. He became fascinated with unusual and exotic foreign locales and cultures. Because he took the veracity of his claims quite seriously, in 1923, he hired a researcher and polyglot named Norbert Pearl Rock as a full-time assistant. In 1926, Ripley's cartoons moved from New York Globe to the New York Post. Here's what I said all of that because nobody mentioned this. I thought it was fascinating. Throughout the 1920s, as Ripley continued to broaden the scope of his work, he published a guide to the game of American handball in 1925. In 1926, he became the New York State handball champion and also wrote a book on boxing. With a proven track record as a versatile writer, he attracted the attention of publishing mogul William Randolph Hearst. In 1929, Hearst was responsible for Believe It or Not, making its syndicated debut in 360 newspapers and 17 languages worldwide. With the success of the series assured, Ripley capitalized on his fame by getting the first book collection of his newspaper panels published. With the success of the syndicated newspaper panel, Ripley brought Believe It or Not to radio on April 14, 1930, the first of several series heard on NBC, CBS, and the Mutual Broadcasting System. Ripley's broadcast ranged from 15 to 30 minutes and aired in multiple formats. And then, like I said, in 1932, Ripley introduced a contest over the radio looking for the most incredible true stories that fans could send in. The winning submission would win $5,000 in 1932. So you can imagine how many submissions there were.
Yeah.
Number 13, Information Please. Information Please was an American radio quiz show created by Dan Golenpaul, which aired on NBC from May 17th, 1938 to April 22nd, 1951. That is Michelle.
This is fun for me because, we love a quiz show. We stand a quiz show.
Mm-hmm.
Set up with panel experts, right? Oscar Levant was one of them. But what really struck me is that they would have people who knew a little bit about everything, but everybody had a specialty, just like our little quiz team.
Yeah, that's
like our little quiz
That made me
team.
so happy.
Everybody, Oscar obviously was the music and kind of pop culture nerd, if you will. I like also that the questions would come from listeners, and they got $2 for the submission, or $2 if they used it, and $5 if the panel couldn't answer it. And then later, when they got a sponsor, they upped that to like 5 and 10.
Yeah.
Which is, it's cute, right? It's a good way. And they also got a brand new set of encyclopedias.
Yes.
Which is cool. Like, it was fun.
Andrea?
Pretty much everything that Michelle said. I have that it's one of the earliest examples of a paneled game show. I just really love the concept of this as we do. It's fun. I'm a big fan of this. I think that this again, as I think a lot of these in the 30s were like the granddad or the great granddad to not Gramps, Sean, granddad.
Gramps. Got it.
Granddad, Sean. I thought it was cool. I think you could bring it back now and it'd be like, information, please. That's what I would bring it back.
That's what you'd call it.
I did that just for your face.
Okay. So the title actually of this show was the contemporary phrase used to request from telephone operators what was then called information, later would be called directory assistance.
We used to ask for information too.
Oh, really?
When you called,
How old are you? Never mind.
how dry are you?
It's been 84 years.
Bitch, keep that necklace and give it to your grandchild.
So a lot of this, you two have pointed out, but the series was moderated by Clifton Fadiman, and then a panel of experts would attempt to answer questions submitted by listeners. For the first few shows, listeners were paid $2 for a question that was used, $5 if the experts could not answer it correctly. When the show got its first sponsor, Canada Dry, the total amounts were increased to $5 and $10 respectively. And then a complete Encyclopedia Britannica was later added to the prize for questions that stumped the panel.
When the smoking place you got more prizes with Lucky Strikes than you did with that sparkly fizzy drinks.
Panel regulars included writer, actor, pianist Oscar Levant, and newspaper columnists and renowned wits Franklin P. Adams and John Kieran. All the panelists were well-versed in a wide range of topics, though each had a specialty. Music and film questions were often addressed to Levant. Adams was well known for his mastery of poetry, popular culture, and Gilbert and Sullivan. Kieran was an expert in natural history, sports, and literature. A typical question would have 3 or 4 parts and would require the panelists to get a majority of the questions right, lest they lose the prize money. They also had a 4th guest panelist, usually either a celebrity, a politician, or a writer. There was a long list. I just kind of called Fred Allen, Leonard Bernstein, Boris Karloff, Groucho Marx, Dorothy Parker, Rex Stout, Deems Taylor, Jackie Robinson, Alexander Woolcott, George S. Kaufman, Ruth Gordon, Orson Welles, Basil Rathbone, Mo Berg, and a very young Myron Wallace, also known as Mike.
That was adorable.
So for our younger viewer, Mike Wallace had a talk show.
I don't know if anyone younger is listening to this podcast.
Probably.
We're talking about the 1930s right now.
Our moms love Mike Wallace and Phil Donahue.
Yeah, ask your mom. I bet she
Yeah,
loved
ask
him.
your mom's mom.
All right, number 14, the Fireside Chats. Fireside Chats were a series of evening radio addresses given by Franklin D. Roosevelt, 32nd President of the United States, between 1933 and 1944. Roosevelt spoke with familiarity to millions of Americans about recovery from the Great Depression, the putting into law the Emergency Banking Act in response to the banking crisis, the 1937 recession, New Deal initiatives, and the course of World War II later on. And that is Andrea.
Imagine a president like this today that
It's hard.
fucking cared about people. And all the people, not just people who wear stupid hats. I find this, I always found the concept of Fireside Chats smart, like fucking A, this is brilliant. I'm just going to give Eleanor I found no word that Eleanor thought of this, but I'm going to give it to her.
But Zelda.
Okay.
But no, I found it fascinating that there were only 31 over his over 4,400 days as president. But this is such a good way to get, and I don't know if Trump does this because I remember Obama had Sunday morning. He was every Sunday morning, would have like address the nation and
but we get it every day, at least now on True Social. It's
blessed.
the new Fireside Chat, is it not? No.
As in, I want to light
It's my
myself on
eye.
fire. That's yes.
Feel like
But,
my eyes itching.
When your list came out, I knew right away that this was going to be and I get one.
Oh, okay.
If that was
Well, I thought you were just staring in the eyes of breaking the rules.
no. But I was like, I'm going to do Fireside Chat. And then I was like, oh,
Yeah, there it is.
there it is. So yeah.
Michelle?
I also just fucking love this to pieces. I like that it was for political reasons. Like it makes sense, but also that it was very sincere in doing that, right? Because the newspapers were all, run
Good
by
old Fox News.
basically,
Yeah.
they were all run by people who opposed him. And they didn't have any other way to combat that but then to hit the airwaves, right? So he and his team were like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And I loved also that the reason that there were only 31 is because he said, I don't want to flood the fucking marketplace with my ideas, cuckoo or not, because then it's just fucking garbage, right? It doesn't mean anything.
It's like
So,
having a social media account now and just
yes, and
posting stuff like 27 to 59 times a
correct.
day.
So that it was deliberate that he
Mhm.
didn't want the message to be watered down. He was very smart about speaking to the people the way, in words they would understand, in things to give them comfort, and he wasn't BSing them, right? He was
Yeah.
just like, here's what this is. You don't have to like it, but here's why we're doing it, and it ultimately, hopefully, will be good for you, and here's
Mhm.
why. And just being fucking transparent about it.
Which I think is brilliant, because if you tell the people, and sometimes out of 10, it's like, oh, that's why you're doing it. Like even us, when we sit around, we'll argue about something, and inevitably one of us will be like, yeah, but do you know why they do that? Oh, it's because of this, that, that. Okay, well, fine. Like it, begrudging or not, it's knowledge. And I loved that 80% of this, they found 80% of these talks used the 1,000 most commonly used words in the English language. Like, he didn't dumb it down, but he spoke to them like how you would speak to somebody leaning, like, well, at your fire, I guess.
Mhm.
I was gonna say leaning across the counter and
Or at the
talking,
bar.
or at the bar, at the Tahoma.
Mhm.
Hashtag plug.
And I love that, like the banking crisis thing, right? When they basically did the
Yes.
It's a Wonderful Life run on the bank, he went on the air and he was like, listen, I get why you're panicking, but here's why I don't want you to panic. And people returned their money to the banks based solely on a guy talking to them on the radio.
Well, it's
And I get that the guy was the president of the United States, but they trusted him enough. He had
Yes.
built enough rapport
Yes.
and trust with them that they were
Yes.
like, all right, maybe this is fucking crazy, but I'm going to take some of this money and I'm going to go put it back into the banks.
Mhm.
And that's
including the people who didn't vote for him. Like, they trusted
correct.
that he had
Correct.
the nation's.
It's-
Yeah.
Just based solely on him saying, please trust me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm backing up all the other shit I'm
Mhm.
doing here. So here's why you can trust me. And they did.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, you just said this. I'm repeating what Michelle just said, but so Roosevelt, 8 days after his inauguration, spends the first 8 days coping with the month-long epidemic of bank closings. He closed the entire American banking system on March 6th. On March 9th, Congress passed the Emergency Banking Act, which Roosevelt used to effectively create federal deposit insurance when the banks reopened. On March 12th, 1933, at 10 p.m. Eastern, on the eve of the end of the bank holiday, Roosevelt spoke to an audience of more than 60 million people, telling them in very clear language what has been done, why it was done, and what the next steps are going to be. The way that it was delivered, they regained trust in the banks, everything y'all just said.
Imagine.
Going back, though, a little bit, Roosevelt first used what we're calling Fireside Chats in 1929 as the governor of New York. Roosevelt was a Democrat facing a conservative Republican legislature. So during each legislative session, he would occasionally address the residents of New York directly via the radio. His we've talked about this too, but there's a lot of stuff you hit that I don't need to go back over. But since then, every U.S. president has delivered periodic addresses to the American people, first on radio, later television, then the internet. But the practice of regularly scheduled addresses began in 1982 when President Ronald Reagan started delivering a weekly broadcast every Saturday. And that led us to where we are now.
Hell. We're in hell. And we're all here together.
Number 15, The Goldbergs. This is cited as radio's first Jewish comedy. It was titled The Rise of the Goldbergs, which began in 1929 as a weekly 15-minute program. In 1931, the show became a daily serial known as The Goldbergs. It aired at various times on NBC and CBS all the way up until 1950 before transitioning to television.
Where it is today.
Michelle.
Wendy.
So It's funny that you say that because I was like, is this a derivative of this? And I could not find any like evidence to that, but it did seem a little like as I read through the research for this, I was like, okay, I mean, it's not like I've seen a million episodes of the
No, but I thought it
Goldbergs,
was a
but
little
I've seen-
homage. Like,
Yeah,
that's
I've
how I
seen-
took it.
Yeah, I've seen a few, and I was like, oh, this seems a little bit, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. So I looked, but I couldn't find anything. I like that, there was like a, and Gertrude Berg, right? She wrote it. She starred in it. She was the, uh, the matriarch of this family. That was, a soap opera, but it was also, like a comedy but in it being a soap opera, they just like, there wasn't like, and he fell into a vat. and now he's missing a leg. How will I cope? But they just like everyday life stuff, right? Like stuff they would encounter in the Bronx. They were in the Bronx, right?
Yes.
And they because she was Jewish and the family was Jewish, they did talk about some very serious topics in a way that, maybe, again, if you're listening and you don't maybe feel that way, but you love the show, like maybe you could have your mind changed a little bit. Maybe.
Andrea, anything to add to that?
No, not really.
Okay.
Michelle got it.
Yeah, so Michelle hit most of these as well, but the program was devised by writer-actress Gertrude Berg in 1928 and sold to NBC Radio Network in 1929. It was a domestic comedy featuring the home life of a Jewish family, supposedly at 1038 East Tremont Avenue in the Bronx. In addition to writing the scripts and directing each episode, Berg starred as big-hearted, lovingly meddlesome, and somewhat stereotypical Jewish matriarch Molly Goldberg. The show began as a portrait of Jewish tenement life before later evoking such growing pains as moving into a more suburban setting and struggling with Jewish assimilation while sustaining their roots. Berg, though, was born Tilly Edelstein in 1899 in East Harlem to Jacob and Dinah Edelstein. Natives of Russia and England, Berg's chronically unstable mother, Dinah, who is grieving over the death of her newborn son, experienced a series of nervous breakdowns and later died in a sanitarium. Tilly marries young, at 19, marries Louis Berg. They had 2 children. And while she was doing that, she learned theater while producing skits at her father's Catskill Mountains Resort in Fleischmann's, New York. After a fire burned down the sugar factory where her husband was employed, she worked on a semi-autobiographical skit that she had hoped to develop into a radio program. Portrayed a Jewish family in a Bronx tenement. Though her house had a typewriter, Berg wrote the entire script by hand, taking the handwritten pages to a long-awaited appointment at NBC. When the executive she met with protested that he could not read her writing, she read the script aloud to him. Her performance not only sold the idea for the radio program, but also landed her the lead role in the radio program. She continued to write all the scripts in pencil as long as the program was on the air.
I would too.
Hand wrote every script.
And I also have in my notes that of the 15-minute, because it was originally 15 minutes, 30,
minutes.
but of the 15-minute shows, only Amos and Andy ran longer than this.
That's
So
I
imagine
did
her
see that.
handwriting every script for as long as
for
it
a
did.
yes.
So on November 20th, 1929, a 15-minute episode of The Rise of the Goldbergs was first broadcast on the NBC radio network. She started at $75 a week. Less than 2 years later, in the heart of the Great Depression, she let the sponsor propose a salary. When the sponsor said, "I'm sorry, Miss Berg, we cannot pay a cent over $2,000 a week." So, but
I mean,
Berg's,
I'm not happy with it, but if you,
I mean,
It'll be fine.
it'll be.
I guess I'll take it.
Jeez.
Berg's husband, Louis, who had gone on to become a successful consulting engineer, he refused to be photographed with his wife for publicity purposes, as he felt this was infringing on her success. So, yeah. The series moved to CBS in 36. with the shortened title, The Goldbergs. In the 40s. I don't know that I need to talk about that.
No, we're in the 30s.
Oh, really, Andrea?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I will say Berg was not averse to incorporating serious real-world issues affecting Jewish families. One episode in 1939 addressed Kristallnacht and Nazi Germany, including a rock through the family window as the Goldbergs had their Passover Seder. Other World War II era episodes, I know I wasn't going to go to the 40s, but just alluded to friends or family members trying to escape the Holocaust. So, yeah, that I'll just leave it at that. Go down these dark roads. Number 16. Okay. So, well, I want to hear from you two about number 16, but I'll explain myself. Maybe it won't hold water. But number 16, The War of the Worlds. War of the Worlds was a Halloween episode of the radio series The Mercury Theater on the Air, which was broadcast live at 8 p.m. Eastern on October 30th, 1938, over the CBS radio network. Andrea.
Oh, this was fucking brilliant. This was some brilliant, just the way they sold it. I loved reading. I never knew that it was because it was kind of boring. I mean, if you tried to, I'm not a fan of this saying, so excuse me, but they did almost literally step outside the box. Like they thought out there, like, what can we do to make this? It's so good. There's so much drama around this, whether real or imagined. I just always think of the people that really thought that there was like, that this was going on, that this was happening. And then I just go dark and I'm like, thank God nothing happened for people that thought. All love to Mr. Spielberg, but the movie he did with Tom Mapother, it kind of ruins this for me. But God, just what a brilliant thing to do on Halloween. Yeah, that's all I got. It's also not a radio show; it's a radio episode.
I know. Okay, just waiting to hear from one of you that I'm a horrible producer because this isn't a radio show; it's a radio episode. Michelle, let's have it.
No, well, okay. So when I first saw it on the list, I was like, bro, this is not a thing. Like, I get what you're doing here, but I acquiesce because it was so good. It was so impactful. Again, it's one of those things where you can say, oh, do you know about Orson Welles' War of the Worlds? And most people, again, of our age, they know what you're talking about, and whether true or not, the panic that ensued because of this. So it's fine. I'll
We give
allow
you a
it.
pass.
I knew. Listen, when I put this on the list, when I sent out the list, and when I was doing my touch up today for this, I'm like, I know what's coming at me, and I'm just gonna take it because but
Take it like a man.
well, I don't know about that, but
My favorite part about it though is so again, we knew the hyped up part of like what had happened, but the behind the scenes what
Yes.
happened was way more interesting to me, and I'm sure you're going to talk about this in a second. But I love that Orson Welles had heard a couple of other things that did something similar to this in the late 20s, but they weren't as exciting or as he thought it should be. So he and a couple, they take a stab at it. And America's favorite old fart,
Right?
John
I didn't know
Houseman
John Houseman had
was a
anything to do
I
about
didn't
this.
either. Was
I was like,
producer on
what?
the show, and then he helped punch this script up like to the 0 hour, right till go time. They were rewriting and punching up the script because Orson was like, it's not exciting enough, right? We're not just going to do a radio play. We need it to seem like
Yes. Yes.
an actual thing.
When he says that, when Houseman said, when Wells chose this, he said, I don't even think Orson ever read it. And I could fucking hear that like drawl of judgment. Like I was like, oh, John Houseman, I love you.
I know. I love it so much. So
great.
yeah.
okay. So yes, you got Houseman, got that part, but There's another little piece where, when we talk about the panic of it, what I don't know that everyone realizes when I say what was going on at the time, I mean in radio. So when this show starts, Orson Welles says, this is a work of science fiction.
We're fucking
He
with
says
you.
it at the beginning.
Mhm.
The problem is when this show started, the Chase and Sanborn Hour with Edgar Bergen it was coming to an end. So the people who were listening to Chase Sanborn and it ended, they switch over into this broadcast. They never heard the beginning
Right.
saying, hey, y'all, like, this is not
Mhm.
real, which actually adds to it a little bit because the first half of the program is delivered in realistic breaking news format. Since already the Mercury Theater on the Air had very few commercial interruptions. The first break came after a fictional reporter describes a devastating alien invasion in the fall of New York City. So again, you're tuning in from the other radio show, the popular one, and you turn over to Mercury Theater on the Air, and all you hear is the fall of New York at the hands of an alien invasion. Some people were confused. Some listeners were confused and caused some fear. But I will say that the scale of the panic is disputed. I don't know how much, but still some panic. And so officials with CBS quickly became aware of the public's growing reaction while the show was still being performed. And they started to pressure the production to stop. They were willing to fight long enough to keep it on the air. And then so the program's news bulletin format was described as this is a couple days later, as deceptive by most newspapers and public figures, leading to a large outcry against the broadcasters and calls for regulation by the FCC. After the show, but Welles apologized at a hastily called news conference the next morning, and the FCC decided not to take any punitive action.
Despite the fact that there were at least 2, and I think 3 other mentions during the broadcast that this is fake,
Yes.
not real, including at the fucking
At the end, where he literally said,
Well-
came out and said, boo.
Yeah.
It would the episode. Sorry. The first few bulletins interrupt a program of live music. And are relatively calm reports.
The Chopin that just is
and
playing.
then it breaks into the music and talks about unusual explosions on Mars, followed by a seemingly unrelated report of an unknown object falling on a farm in Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Crisis escalates dramatically when an on-scene reporter at Grover's Mill describes creatures emerging from what is evidently an alien spacecraft. The aliens employ a heat ray against police and onlookers. And the radio correspondent describes the attack in increasing panic until his audio feed abruptly goes dead.
Is when the poison gas gets him.
A rapid series of news updates follows, detailing the beginning of a devastating alien invasion and the U.S. military's futile efforts to stop it. Yes, ma'am.
Did you read further about Concrete Washington?
Mhm.
I did, and I didn't add it in here. I should have. But,
I was like, oh shit, I would be like, we're all dying.
we don't whisper on a podcast.
Oh, I didn't.
It's called content, folks. Okay. The second portion of the show shifts to a more conventional radio drama format that follows a survivor, played by Orson Welles, dealing with the aftermath of the invasion and the ongoing Martian occupation of Earth. Final segment lasts about 16 minutes. Like the original novel, it concludes with the revelation that the Martians were defeated by microbes rather than by humans. Come on. But Andrea just mentioned this, Michelle, but the broadcast ends with a brief out-of-character announcement by Welles in which he compares the show to dressing up in a sheet and jumping out of a bush and saying boo.
It's Halloween. You schmoes.
Oh, boy.
Well, no, it's just people. I think that people got all their undergarments twisted was because they felt they were had.
Yeah.
They freaked out. Things were said like, I never loved you. I hate your mother. And then it's like, oh, we're not all dying. No,
we
just
weren't
the
alive
second
when
part
this
to
happened,
you.
Andrea. This,
It's just the second
okay.
part to you.
So since I just brought it up, the Chase and Sanborn Hour, this is the umbrella title for a series of American comedy and variety radio shows sponsored by Standard Brands Chase and Sanborn Coffee, usually airing Sundays on NBC from 8 to 9 p.m. from 1929 to 1948. Yeah, that's enough for now. Michelle.
Here's another show where somebody got big bucks early. Maurice Chevalier was getting $5,000
Jeez.
a week for this. You know, good on you. But I think people probably know it more when Eddie Cantor took over, and then ultimately when it goes to Edgar Bergen, because everybody, again, to a certain point, knows Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. But I love that it was like just a comedy variety show with all kinds of stuff under the big, like you said, like under the big umbrella of it. And that this is, and I'm sure you're going to talk about this, is where Mae West gets banned from radio for 10 years.
Well, remember we talked
We
about
did
this.
talk about it.
We did.
I'll touch. I mean, I could touch on it again, but we talked
did.
about it in the last
Oh,
episode. That the writer of, I just forgot his name, but the writer of the horror radio show we were talking about.
Oh, right.
Anyway, he wrote some Lights Out, but he wrote some scripts. One of them was for this show when Mae West was
Arch
on.
Obler.
Arch Obler. Good
Yeah.
old
Arch
Arch.
Obler.
Okay.
But I think the thing that stands out for me the most in the Edgar Bergen years is you have to remember that this is fucking radio. He's doing ventriloquism on the radio, right? So people have to be able to like I don't know, just buy that
Yes.
he's not
Yes.
right, that he's doing.
Yes. That he was as
And that
good
he
as
was
he
able-
was.
Correct.
But
And able to convey
come
that
on.
they
Yes.
knew that Charlie McCarthy was a fucking wooden dummy, and they knew that Edgar Bergen was
Yeah.
doing the voice.
Got that through on radio.
On radio. It's kind of remarkable,
It
really.
is. It is.
How that actually played out, and that he was like uber fucking
Mhm.
popular for that long when no one could even they couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Andrea?
No, what Michelle said.
Okay. So the only thing that you left off, the only thing I can even offer is that when Cantor was the host, he was still doing some touring. I don't know you as a comedian, but whatever he was doing, when he was gone, other entertainers substituted for him. One of them was Jimmy Durante. Jimmy Durante stepped in as a substitute for Cantor, making his first appearance on September 10th, 1933. And after that one show, he was so successful, he was offered his own show. So the Jimmy Durante show
Did.
was a result of him just subbing for Eddie Cantor. But that's all. Other than that, you all hit everything. You know, we've talked a lot about him. I didn't realize how much Don Amici was all over radio, but he was actually the master of ceremonies for this program.
And then
for
did his
several years.
brother
And
replace him?
Yes, and then his brother,
I'm so mad at Don.
Jim Amici, would replace him in 40.
Don.
But
I'm learning too much about Don.
okay, number 18, NBC Symphony Orchestra. NBC Symphony Orchestra was a radio orchestra conceived by David Sarnoff, president of RCA, the parent company of NBC, specifically for conductor Arturo Toscanini. The NBC Symphony Orchestra performed weekly radio broadcast concerts with Toscanini and other conductors. Several of its players served in the house orchestra for the NBC radio network. Andrea.
I just have, this sounds fucking awesome. It's not a lot you can really, I mean, you can't go that deep on this, but, or at least I can't, folks. But I just absolutely love the whole concept of it. And plus Toscanini, like, really? And then I thought, well, yeah, people are performing, but it's not the radio nowadays where you're like, wait, you know?
He wasn't the DJ.
Yeah. It's just like,
I mean, he kind of was.
yeah, but what a cool concept. That's it. That's my big, I suck at radio shows. Can somebody invent the TV? So
You got to make it through the 40s. We're switching to TV in the 50s. You have one more. Well, we got to finish this, but this is it. Once we get to the top 10, and then you just got to vote for the final 5. You're almost out of this. Maybe the 40s will be better for you. I don't know. Michelle, NBC Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah. I love that they sent like an envoy to Italy because Toscanini had retired from the New York Philharmonic. He was 69. dude. He goes back to Italy. He's like, I'm gonna retire. I'm done. And they send, like, basically people be like, okay, but would you just maybe do this thing? And then it runs for 17 years.
Yes.
Right. It's fucking crazy. That they built an entire new recording soundstage that you might know as Studio 8H, where SNL is filmed. But when they did, it wasn't good for like music. It had shitty acoustics, so they moved when they started. They did record some things there, but then
moved.
When they recorded it for like public consumption, they did it at Carnegie Hall because obvious reasons that it just sounded better in there. But I do love that they were like, they literally created the whole thing for him, but then had to go beg him to be part of it. Like, could you maybe just do this? And then, debuted on like Christmas night. Like, it just, like, it was, it would have been very, very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody had to take like the fucking Queen Mary over there to get him after, like, yeah. Again, sounds fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's my.
Okay. Well, you both hit all of my notes, so I'm moving on. Number 19, The Romance of Helen Trent. The Romance of Helen Trent was a radio soap opera which aired on CBS from October 30th, 1933 to June 24th, 1960 for a total of 7,222 episodes. That is more than any other radio soap opera. Show was created by Frank and Ann Hummert, who were among the most prolific producers during the radio soap era. Michelle.
So I did not find a bunch on this, but what I did was, I just hate the catchphrase of it. I hate, can love come to a woman over 35? I wrote, get the fuck out of here.
That's okay.
Get the fuck out of here.
Can I read the opening of the program?
The longer opening is worse. So please.
And now,
so please.
The Romance of Helen Trent, the real life drama of Helen Trent, who, when life mocks her, breaks her hopes, dashes her against the rocks of despair, fights back bravely, successfully, to prove what so many women long to prove, that because a woman is 35 or more, romance in life need not be over, that romance can begin at 35. Sorry, Michelle, continue.
Man, no,
so glad a woman had part in this.
Yeah. I do. The other stuff I read was like, okay, so in those 7,222 episodes, she never ages. She's always
like very Nancy Drew. Like,
she's always 35. She never marries.
True. Yes.
What did I read? Something about like she never drank, she never smoked, she never cursed.
What did she do?
Thank you, Adamant.
Oh,
I actually wrote that in my notes.
Michelle actually did that to me last night.
I did. And that even her thoughts were pure. I'm like, can we?
No, they're not, because after 35, if you haven't found a man, you're double clicking your own mouse, and you can't do that with your thoughts pure.
But, and I hope you have this in the notes, there's a crazy thing that happens during one of the recordings. Do you have this?
Yes. Oh my God, this is amazing.
Crazy fucking
well,
thing.
Go talk about it.
No, I don't want to.
What? Talk about it.
All right. So, like in the later... in the later episodes, like they're filming and someone, and it happens on air, somebody shouts like, would you just go ahead and fucking lay that woman and get on with it, right? And then like the crew is like, what the fuck? Right?
Who, where?
Panic. They're trying to figure out where it's coming from. And then dude continues to like, just get real graphic with what should be done with Helen Trent. So why her thoughts might have been pure, this guy's wasn't. That's fucking wild to me.
I thought this was so great. And then they're like, who? Where?
Like, what the hell? Who, where? Who is that? Oh my God. It's so funny to me.
Yes.
That's so funny. And that was like all I could find on Valley. How many episodes? Can you find love after 35? And some dude I'll tell you how to find love after 35. Let me tell you.
But that was the first line. Oh my God, would you lay him already?
Oh God.
Love that so much.
Oh,
I
goodness.
was racking my brain. Was this also a comic strip panel in the Sunday?
Not
Because
that I
you remember
found.
there was that one that was like, and I thought it was just called Helen Trent, but it might have been another woman's name. It's again, but you know, she aged in the.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't.
It's not Helen Trent, but I think it was supposed to take of that. Like, I seriously, all I have.
Was her name Mary Worth?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
All I have for this is okay. That's all I'm giving it.
Yeah.
It's this is. I would have been. I would like to think that 1930s Andy would have been at home doing the dishes or something, but been like, "Are you fucking kidding?" And you would be sitting on
throwing stuff at the radio,
saying language, Andrea, the kids. I'm like, kids, don't be this dumb bitch.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts.
Back to you, Sean.
So the storyline revolved around a 35-year-old dressmaker who fascinates men as she works her way up to becoming the chief Hollywood costume designer. Helen was briefly played by several actresses, but Jean Cagney, but otherwise by Virginia Clark, Betty Ruth Smith, and Julie Stevens. So Virginia Clark played the role for 11 years. Julie Stevens portrayed Helen for 16 years. So I want to talk about Stevens because her quote, her description is I think you'll appreciate them. I don't know. Stevens, who had just finished playing the title role on the radio soap Kitty Foyle, joined the cast at 22 years old.
Okay.
Playing a 35-year-old. She went from 1944 until the show's cancellation in 60. At the time, she was married to U.S. Steel executive Charles Underhill. But
put it on the Underhills.
Put it on the Underhills. Stevens said she saw Helen as being similar to Edith Head. Stevens felt her character was boring and remembered the director allowed the actors to fall around and scream on the ground with laughter during rehearsals because somehow we had to keep our sanity. By the time we recorded for air, we had gotten it all out of our systems, and we could be dead serious about this story.
Do you know how much edging had to have been going on?
Sorry.
The fact that she never got laid or married. What?
Okay.
I just want Helen to get laid.
So did that guy in the audience. Number 20, Gangbusters. Gangbusters is an American dramatic radio program heralded as the only national program that brings you authentic police case histories. Premiered on January 15th, 1936, was broadcast for more than 21 years, ending November 27th, 1957. Oh boy. Andrea.
This sounds like an incredibly loud, obnoxious version of Cops. Also, fuck J. Edgar Hoover.
There we go.
There it is.
There it is, folks.
Spawned Roy Cohn, who spawned Donald J. Trump. So fuck this show. Fuck that guy. Also, fuck the Colonel Akbar guy or Admiral Akbar guy right now that is the head of the FBI.
Okay.
That's all I got to say.
Michelle.
I'm sorry. Let me get back to my notes that don't say all that. I do love that so Phillips Lord develops this because he wants to use real life cases and embellish them a little bit. So he creates the first version of this called G-Men, but he has to do it really in close cahoots with J. Edgar Hoover because that dickwad would not let them was real concerned about what it was going to make the FBI
I don't
look like.
understand why they can't do, like, Sean, if you could pitch in as a white cisgender man with law enforcement background, like, what's the harm in, like, because I read where Hoover was like, I want to show, like, how we solved it and how we did this. And I get that, but that's not what Joe Schmo in Poughkeepsie wants to hear.
Okay, but if I may.
Yes.
Since you asked
asked you.
Cisgender white male with a law enforcement background, what Michelle just said is the key to all of this. Lord, who, listen, we're talking about entertainment. Lord wants to embellish these stories. Just like that's the problem right now is anybody who doesn't know, they watch a movie or a TV show and they think that all cops do are shoot people in gunfights and all that. And that's not what police work is. But really? I mean, because you mentioned cops earlier, you know how many hours, how many weeks it takes for cops to ride with an officer before they get one of those chases or one of those, but it makes it look like it happens every night. And as a former law enforcement officer, I could tell you it don't happen every night. It's very, very rare. So how, as a producer, a writer of a radio show, do you go, I'm gonna make the most boring radio show possible, but it's gonna be real? And then you got J. Edgar Hoover, who is like, can we tone down the gunfights and the police chases and make it more like the investigation and the systemic or the legwork? So there's a battle here of like, nobody wants to watch that. Nobody wants to watch an FBI agent spend 16 weeks investigating something and then go to court. That's boring. And so Lord's like, can we just spice it up a little bit? But that now we're contributing to the idea like this is what the FBI does. I'm not defending J. Edgar Hoover. I'm just saying you're no matter if it's this radio show or something else, you're always struggling to be like, we're going to try to be realistic, but we have to be entertaining. And law enforcement is not entertaining.
No, it is not.
But on an average like 10-hour shift, cops are not doing what you think they're doing. It is very boring. And so I don't know who would want to watch anything or listen to anything like this. It's boring.
So because of that, Lord eventually, because Hoover is like cracking down on him to like tone everything down, he breaks with him and is like, okay, so I stop making G-Men and I start making Gangbusters,
Yes.
which then he uses stuff from like all over the country and not just like FBI stuff, but other law enforcement agencies and from all over. And then he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And the best part for me was the phrase "come in like gangbusters" is because the opening of Gangbusters was like people screaming and the police sirens and whistles blowing and like car crashes and shit. And it was so loud. And then they would like introduce the show and then it would come on again, like some little extras. So people would say it came on like gangbusters.
Oh my God, I didn't even get that
to
far.
describe like chaos and,
Yes.
or just like cacophony
Okay.
craziness
Okay.
is where that came from. And I fucking love that.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
opening, I think you mentioned most of these, but I think you missed one or two. But the sound effects were considered to be extremely aggressive. It started with a shrill police whistle, convicts marching in formation, police sirens wailing, machine guns firing, and tires squealing. And then an authoritative voice would then announce the title of what the night's program was, followed by more blasts from a police whistle, leading, as Michelle said, to the popular catchphrase, "came on like gangbusters." Michelle, anything else about this?
Only that because they needed kind of to add like I don't know, once they moved it to Gangbusters and they needed to add like some kind of just
Authenticity.
yes,
to the presentation.
authenticity. Norman Schwarzkopf Sr.,
Senior.
who was like the chief of New Jersey Police Department.
He
or
was
something,
the former head of the New Jersey
Okay.
State Police.
Yeah, I was like,
would
oh,
come on and make a little statement, and then they would do their thing. But it also was like,
like that guy from Multnomah County that used to always come on. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah,
The
but
sheriff.
yeah, but I mean, he went on to be on. He would lead not cops, but he was on Bad Santa too. What I'm forgetting his name, but anyway.
yes.
Go ahead, Michelle. Anything more?
No, I was just gonna, there were like comic books and TV shows
Oh,
and other things that were spawned by this, but it eventually got, usurped, if you will, because they were waiting for Dragnet to have enough episodes to take over, because
Oh.
Dragnet, as was kind of the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Right? So that was later, but
Yeah.
and then once that happened, then Gangbusters goes away and basically is replaced by Dragnet.
Dragnet. Yep. Yeah. Andrea.
I just want to apologize to Admiral Akbar, who gave his life or his planet for the resistance. And I'm sorry.
I just want to talk about Schwarzkopf Sr. real quick.
Okay.
I did not know there was a Schwarzkopf Senior. If I did not know that.
But
Well,
there's a junior,
well, no, that's what I mean.
so there would have to be a
I
senior.
didn't mean that he.
Okay, so real quick.
Sean.
After returning to the United States from World War I with the rank of colonel, Schwarzkopf was appointed in 1921 by New Jersey Governor Edward Edwards, that's his name, to head the
New.
Well, I'm sorry?
I said your parents knew.
So he was appointed in 1921 by New Jersey Governor Edward Edwards to head the newly formed New Jersey State Police. He personally trained the first 25 state police troopers and organized the state police into two troops. A northern troop utilizing motorcycles to patrol the mafia-controlled narcotics, whiskey, rum running, and gambling rings, and a southern troop with troopers on horseback to crack down on moonshiners.
Jesus.
Schwarzkopf, probably best known, on the evening of March 1st, 1932, the colonel was then 37, was among the officials called to the East Amwell residence of Charles Lindbergh, following the kidnapping of his 20-month-old son, Charlie. He arrived on the scene with his second-in-command, Major Charles Schoeffel, and established a police command post in the three-car garage on the side of Lindbergh's house opposite the nursery. At the time, Schwarzkopf was the lead police commander for the entire investigation. Or not at the time, sorry. He was the lead police commander for the entire investigation. In 1936, he is dismissed from the New York State Police after a personality clash with the new governor, Harold Hoffman. So Edward Edwards appointed him and Harold Hoffman fired him. So then when he got fired, he took the job narrating Gangbusters. So to Michelle's point, that's how he ended up on Gangbusters. Until 1945, he was replaced by New York City Police Commissioner Louis Joseph Valenti. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's all 20. Now, we need to vote.
Berg.
So, number 1, Guiding Light. Michelle?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Number 2, The Shadow. Andrea?
Yes.
Michelle?
Also yes.
Interesting. Number 3, The Jack Benny Program. Michelle?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Number 4, Fibber McGee and Molly. Andrea?
No.
Michelle?
I say yes on this, but I had to move a thing.
Okay. Number 5, Lux Radio Theater. Michelle?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Number 6, The Lone Ranger. Andrea?
No.
Michelle?
Yes.
You're just gonna say yes to everything, Shell? Is that
No, I
is that
have
your
my
concept?
shit's counted, girl.
Okay, because you got 6 in a row here. Miss
I know where I'm going.
Count as well and
7,
count.
Burns and Allen Show. Michelle?
No.
Andrea?
Shocking. No.
8, The Green Hornet. Andrea?
No.
Michelle?
No.
9, Lights Out. Michelle?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
10, Flash Gordon. Andrea?
No.
Michelle?
No.
Number 11, Major Beau's Amateur Hour. Michelle?
No.
Andrea?
Give me just a second, please. Yes.
And I'm sorry, Michelle, you were a no.
Correct.
First.
Wow. Number 12, Ripley's Believe It or Not. Andrea?
No.
Michelle?
No.
Number 13, Information Please. Michelle?
No.
Andrea?
No.
Wow. 14, Fireside Chat. Andrea?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Number 15, The Goldbergs. Michelle.
No.
Andrea.
No.
Number 16, War of the Worlds. Andrea.
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes.
Number 17, The Chase and Sanborn Hour. Michelle.
Yes.
Andrea.
Yes.
Number 18, NBC Symphony Orchestra. Andrea. Okay.
No.
Michelle.
No.
Number 19, The Romance of Helen Trent. Michelle.
Fuck no.
Andrea.
What Michelle said.
20, Gangbusters. Andrea.
No.
Michelle.
No.
Well, hang on.
I have 9.
You have 9?
Mm-hmm. They just all were horrible, Sean.
I know, but
I mean,
4,
these people should be ashamed of themselves.
okay. But you only have 9.
7,
I know. Give me a second.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3,
8,
4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8.
9, 10.
And Andrea's a no on 2 and Michelle's a no on 1.
Okay, I'll for my 10th,
Yes.
I will say yes to the Lone Ranger.
Okay. Good choice. So now we just have Major Bose versus Fibber McGee and Molly. Michelle, make your case for Fibber McGee and Molly.
I think because, listen, I don't think this is a show I would have listened to personally.
No.
But a fuck ton of people did, and they loved it, and it ran for so long. I liked the, I liked that it was, strictly kind of controlled to keep the thing moving, right? Again, I don't think I would have listened, but I do think that a fuck ton of people did and really loved it and were very invested in these people.
Andrea, Major Bose Amateur Hour.
And as I said before, this is the granddad of American Idol-esque shows. The fact of so many people listen to this that then they're like, we will, with everybody, with like our stable, if you will, of people that have advanced, that it was popular enough to take it out on the road throughout the nation, and people going to see it, listen to it, but then also going to see it. That to me seemed very, very 30s in the way of
I like
bringing it.
I like the giving the little guy a chance to make it in an industry where, like we talked about,
Yeah.
it just wasn't the easy thing to do.
And poor Frank got his ass kicked. You're not even gonna feel like
I
he got
would-
pounded.
I would acquiesce to that. I'll give you that.
Okay. So let me just confirm. Here's our 10. The Guiding Light, The Shadow, The Jack Benny Program, Lux Radio Theater, The Lone Ranger, Lights Out, Major Bose Amateur Hour, Fireside Chat, War of the Worlds, Chase and Sanborn Hour. Is that correct?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I got 10, and it represents what I think is both of your votes.
Mhm.
Folks, that one went a little bit long, but I think it was entertaining. I hope it was entertaining. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. If you didn't, or you think we're crazy, like I always say, leave a comment here wherever you're ingesting podcasts, or hit us up on our socials, wherever we are. You've heard it before, so just come find us, leave us a comment, tell us we're crazy, or tell me what I missed on this list, because Andrea's already let me hear it, so you can back her up. Yeah. Until next week, take care of yourself, and we'll see you then.
So swing to the future The past in our sight, we regret nothing. The capsules tonight